The La Liga title race will go right down to the final game of the season, with Atletico Madrid in pole position to lift a first title in 7 years. Well, to look ahead to that and recap on what was a dramatic penultimate day of the campaign, we can cross live to speak to Semra Hunter. Semra, very good morning. Always good to see you. Let's start with Atletico Madrid. They're in pole position, as we say. Are they now favourites to go on and win it?
They absolutely are. But let me tell you, you used the word dramatic, and I don't think there's a better way to explain what we saw last night. It was absolute madness. We had all 10 games played at the same time. And it meant that for about 20 minutes, there was a very nervy period for Atletico Madrid, because in Real Madrid's game, they had gone ahead, which meant that they were level on points. But because of the head-to-head, Real Madrid were actually the ones in pole position. Then all of a sudden, Atletico Madrid fell behind in their game, even though they had hit the woodwork twice in the opening 45 minutes. They had a bit of bad luck. They had a goal disallowed, but they were trailing. So all of a sudden, they needed to pull out a result, and quick. They were able to all of a sudden level the score. But then you see this man right here, Luis Suarez. Diego Simeone, he warned us that we were heading into the Suarez zone, and that is exactly what happened. Very deep into the game, he pulled out a magic rabbit out of the hat, took the lead, gave them the match win, and all of a sudden, we finished the day as it started. Atletico Madrid were back on top, 2 points clear of Real Madrid, and now they head into the final game into a very, very good position indeed. In fact, it's almost in Atletico Madrid's DNA to suffer. 9 out of the 10 times they've won the league, they won it on the very last day. So this is very much up their alley. They're up against Valladolid next, a team who is fighting for safety, although they played like a team who were already down in their game last night. And Real Madrid, they play Villarreal, a team who are in the Europa League final against Manchester United, and who also need to win their game if they want to at least have some kind of guarantee of playing into European football next season. So yes, I think Atletico Madrid are going to take it at this point.
OK, what about Real Madrid's season? Would you say then it's been disappointing?
I actually think in some ways it's been better than we expected, given that they had so many injuries. They had more than 60 different injuries to every single outfield player. The only exception was Courtois and Lunin, the 2 goalkeepers. They had plenty of players who tested positive for COVID. They had no reinforcements really brought in the summer, with the exception of Martin Odegaard, who was on loan from Real Sociedad. He came back, but then straight away in January he was loaned back out again. But that was his volition. So I think given everything that Zidane had to work with, and he was constantly stacked up against it with so many injuries, especially at the back, every single game he had to experiment in some way, change the system, change the formation, change the players, use players in different positions that you wouldn't necessarily see them in, make them versatile. And so to be where they are now, to make into a semi-final of the Champions League, and to actually go all the way down to the very last day to hold on to the title, I actually think it's pretty commendable, the work that he's done this season, as well as Real Madrid. And that's what they do. They know how to dig deep. They know how to compete. They're serial winners, and this is what they do. So disappointing in some ways, sure. They'll come up empty-handed most likely, but still a lot of credit to them for what they have been able to achieve, given the fact that it wasn't that easy for them.
OK, and what about Zidane's position? Because you'll know better than us, Spanish media reporting that he told the players he's going to be leaving at the end of the season. He's denied it. Tell us what you know.
Well, basically what you just said. I mean, for quite some time now, the Spanish media have been talking about the idea of Zinedine Zidane leaving, claiming that he's tired, that he needs a break, that he just feels that he's taken the team as far as he possibly can at this point. They also reported what you said, that he supposedly told the dressing room that he was out, but he did deny it last night. He said, why would I do that? We're still in the fight for the league title. It wouldn't make much sense for me to tell my players that I'm leaving when we still have 2 games left to go and we could nick it off of Atletico Madrid, which seems like a pretty sound and logical argument, to be perfectly honest with you. But in any case, even though we don't have confirmation of what his future does hold as of yet, it does feel like we have come to an end of an era with him. And so it's entirely possible and probably likely that he will decide to leave. And if he does, I think it will be his choice, not the other way around. But I imagine we'll see what happens unfolding in the next few weeks or months. But it does seem most likely that that will be what happens. OK, and what about at Barcelona and Lionel Messi? Could he be off? I think it's way too soon to tell. And quite honestly, nothing has changed. A couple of months ago, he himself came out and said that he wasn't going to be quick to make any kind of decision. He was going to wait until the end of the season to really think it through and then decide what he wanted to do for his future. And that really hasn't changed. There's still one game left to go. I think people here in Barcelona have been very respectful of his desire and his wishes to take the time to really think it through. And also, Barcelona have a lot of work to do this summer. They need to decide what they're going to do with Ronald Koeman. Is he staying? Is he going? They also need to take a look at the squad, decide who they want to sell, who they want to loan, who they want to bring in as well. And I think Messi will sit there and look at those decisions. And he also, I'm sure, if he hasn't done so already, does need to speak to Laporta to see what offer will be made to him. He has the Copa Libertadores coming up very soon, so I don't think that he'll be thinking about it in the near future. I do suspect it will take quite some time for Messi to really have a look, sit down, think about it, mull it over, and probably make a decision maybe towards the end of the summer.
OK, well, Barcelona's men going to finish outside the top two. That doesn't happen often. The women, though, sweeping all before them. Champions League final winners, beating everyone domestically. Is there anybody in Spain who can get anywhere near challenging them?
Well, you know, it's a great question, because if someone asks who's the best team in Spain right now, to be honest with you, it has to be them. They're absolutely dominant. They've been killing everybody over here in Spain, blowing away the competition. They've won all of their games so far. They could still win a treble. They had a historic victory last night, which they knew that they were not going to let slip through their fingers the way they did 2 years ago. They actually made a vow to the manager on the very night that they lost to Lyon, saying, we will do whatever it takes to win. We will come back mentally and physically stronger and sharper, and that's exactly what they did. And I think you're right. I don't think there's anybody on the continent who can really challenge them at this point in time. They've gone from strength to strength, and they can still also beat all sorts of kinds of records on a collective level as well as an individual level. So this is a brilliant moment for Barça Femení. It's a brilliant moment for the sport here in Spain as well, too. It's been getting a lot of attention, a lot of interest, as well as a lot of support. So it's absolutely brilliant to see. And again, it's just onwards and upwards, I think, for them.
That is great news. Semra, always a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.